doing it. You supposed to be happy you sitting there with Kid L. Why you mad?
The Kid L podcast.
Yeah, we'll talk about that then.
Yeah.
That could be a thing. We're rolling. Phil is in the building. Do you like to go by Phil, bro, or just like is that?
Yeah.
Because you're gonna be like huge one day, like pretty soon. So like you're gonna have like something to go with it. But we'll go with Phil. First of all, we can talk about Parallel. Parallel just did a whole revamp of its front studio. Talk about that real quick, man, because you guys are offering something that not too many other studios are offering in Michigan right now.
Yeah, I'm not sure if there's any public studios right now with Dolby Atmos, but yeah, we just put in a 9.1.4 Dolby Atmos system. It's 13 speakers, 2 subwoofers. If you're not familiar with it, when you see on Apple Music the spatial audio, that's what Dolby Atmos is. So now we can give you spatial audio tracks. One big thing that I don't think most people know about, but you get, I'm not sure the exact numbers, and I don't want to say it, but I know you get extra streaming royalties if you have Dolby Atmos prints. So there's a lot of like famous artists right now who aren't even necessarily getting their song mixed in Dolby, but they're just getting that printed file and they're getting extra streaming royalties. So it's a huge benefit if you're an artist to get that Dolby print and upload it on Apple. In case that song blows up, you get some extra money in.
Yeah, I wonder what the incentive behind that is, like why that's offered like that. Like who owns that? Like
I think Apple and Dolby are working together, and that's why they're putting that incentive.
So they're
in
pushing
there.
it so the artists go towards it for whatever reason,
Mhm.
right? So they make more cash.
And truly, it's going to be the future of audio. All the new cars are all going to have Dolby systems in there. So all your headphones now, every Apple headphones are all Dolby. So it gives you this extra depth to it. And I mean, that's where everything's going. So that's why they're trying to push it.
You guys did the grand opening recently, right? Or reopening?
Yep. We opened last week, but right now we're still just offering stereo. By the time this podcast come out, Dolby will be done because we just finished it up today. So
Oh, sick.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Also, man, another thing that's awesome that's happening is you are, I guess, owner and co-owner or whatever you want to say, at Mitten Muay Thai. And I was at the first event. It was incredible. The place was packed. There was nowhere to walk, really. It was comfortable enough to walk, but there wasn't, it was just packed out, man. It was crazy. And now you guys have another event coming up on May 3rd, right? And you guys are at the Masonic Temple on May 3rd?
May 3rd, we're at the Imperial House.
Oh, okay,
Our
cool.
future shows are going to be at Masonic Temple.
Okay, cool. So you guys are doing it again at the Imperial. That last event was humongously successful, right? And the fights were phenomenal. I was sitting ringside. I didn't realize how bro, I was scared when I was there. I was literally like, bro, what's happening? Like, I'm going to get hit? Or like what? Because these fighters are just so, like, they really went for it. It was no bullshit. You know, it's like you watch main events, like real boxing events these days, and you almost feel like they're not really fighting. When I was sitting ringside, I felt like these guys wanted to kill each other. It was crazy.
And that's what Muay Thai is all about. I mean, showing that aggression. Muay Thai is scored heavily on dominance and aggression and damage. So maybe you're a very technical fighter and you're just kind of tagging them and moving backward. You get penalized heavily for that in Muay Thai. So you have to go for it.
So like Floyd Mayweather would do terrible at this shit, right?
If you can do that successfully and just not get touched, yeah, you could get some wins. But in boxing, they don't penalize you like that, like how they do in Muay Thai. So that's a tough route to go in Muay Thai.
Right. So he would just be like backing up, like getting the hits, but still backing up. So like losing points but gaining points while the other opponent doesn't really gain points because he can't get a hit in.
Yeah,
that's fucking crazy. Now you guys are also introducing these gloves. You said they're like 8-ounce gloves, but they're like combative gloves or something like that.
Yeah. So I'm saying they're just 8-ounce MMA gloves, but Karate Combat has made these famous. They're like probably number 3 or 4th organization in the world, and so I've been calling them Karate Combat gloves just because that's what people are familiar with. But they're 8-ounce MMA gloves. The commission will not let us do the 4 ounces yet.
Damn.
They did promise us it, and then kind of backed out on it. So to be honest, there's just in the rule set, they never classified that we couldn't use the 8-ounce MMA gloves. They just said they have to be 8 ounces and above. So we're switching over those. It's the closest thing we can get to it right now, and it is far more entertaining than the boxing gloves. So we're going to be switching to that only for professionals for the Masonic Temple show August 9th.
Now, for the viewer, does that change more so the experience, or is it for the fighters? Does it change more so of their fight style?
Both. I mean, so for the audience, it's going to cause more damage, more knockouts, more blood, everything like that. And for the fighter, it changes entirely. I mean, your defense changes completely. There's a lot more footwork, head movement. Hands go up in value a lot more. You know, you might be a Muay Thai fighter who's heavily reliant on kicking, and you're used to fighting someone who has these 10 or 12 ounce boxing gloves on and be able to take a lot of damage. But once that glove size drops that significantly, you know, a heavy-handed puncher might be able to finish that guy who's a good kicker.
Wow. So, damn, the dynamics really do change just by the glove size. And then once you guys get the 4 ounce, it's pretty much like as brutal as it gets, right?
It's as brutal as it gets. And the thing I like the most about 4 ounce gloves, so Muay Thai, the skill level is so high that when you don't have the 4 ounce gloves, it's like the better fighter almost always wins. Very similar to how you see wrestling, jiu-jitsu, or even boxing, where the guy who's like a brawler and super tough, he almost never has a chance. The more technical guy wins. That's not the case in MMA. A lot of times you can just land one shot. You get a puncher's chance. You know, one shot might put him out, even though that other guy is better. And when you introduce those 4 ounce gloves to Muay Thai, you get that same dynamic where this guy might just be some brawler puncher getting smoked the whole fight, and he just catches him. And I love that extra variable where you don't know what's going to happen. It makes it more exciting.
Yeah, like I've seen that happen quite a few times. I forget what highlight I was watching where this guy was just getting knocked down repeatedly, and then he got back up. Everybody thought it was over, and then he got back up in just one swing, and then he won. And it's like, what the fuck? You don't really see that in too many sports, or any fighting styles or anything like that. So now that that's happening for you guys, and you guys were very successful in the first outcome, is it more? I know it seems like more pressure. It sounds like a little bit more pressure from when we were talking before to make sure these fights happen, but the audience is here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is there any difference between why they wouldn't come to the second as opposed to why they all showed up to the first? Like, what could make it where there's any type of fear for not packing out again?
Yeah, I mean, that was I was fucking terrified of this event because last event, you know, a month out, we already had sold significantly more than where we were at this event. And I thought maybe it's just the novelty, you know, like, oh, it's the first Muay Thai show. We're all going to come out. And then maybe they weren't going to come to the second one, but ticket sales ramped up. I think we're going to honestly have more success this event. I don't know how we're going to pack that place any more than we did, but I don't think it's going to wear off as long as we keep pushing exciting fights out there, personalities, and, you know, just make the show better every time.
Yeah. I mean, the last one, your main event was Cyrus Washington, right? And Jesse Campos. Mm-hmm. And I think, I don't think anybody knows exactly what happened because the fight kind of abruptly stopped it. And then the referee just said that Campos had retired or some shit. And everybody was kind of saying, like, what? What do you mean retired? And then later when I talked to him, he's like, bro, my whole front row's knocked out or something like that. Like,
yeah,
his teeth got knocked out.
Yeah.
So, what happened? Like, it was a crazy fight, but what ended up happening there?
So, I mean, Jesse was putting it on him, which was an absolute shocker to everybody. And Jesse was telling me leading up to the fight, I'm going to shock everybody. It was his first Muay Thai fight, fighting a guy with 120 fights and 60 knockouts. It was a massive mixed match. But Jesse really wanted the fight, so we gave it to him, and he put it on Cyrus. I mean, he was definitely winning both rounds. And then Cyrus just landed one clean elbow, and it knocked the front of his teeth back. You know, they came off and folded in. So his coach ended up saying, like, they don't want to carry on, you know.
Yeah, that's pretty much it after that. Right? Where do you go from there?
I mean, unless you're getting paid millions of dollars, if your teeth get knocked out, you know, maybe you live to fight another day.
Yeah. How's he doing now? Did you get to check up on him?
I talked to him. He wanted to fight on this card, and we were going to put him on there, but he got suspended for THC.
Damn. Oh, so they test drugs like that. Marijuana is not allowed in Muay Thai?
No, so everything is based around like the state commissions, right? So they pick and choose what they test for and stuff like that, which is a shocker that like steroids aren't tested for.
Okay.
Or performance enhancing drugs like PEDs, EPOs, like they give you basically unlimited fucking cardio. But you can't smoke weed in the state.
But even the NBA, I think you can smoke weed now.
Mm-hmm. In the UFC, you can, and all kinds of organizations, you can. To be honest, I mean, which I have a good relationship with the commission, so I'm not trying to, like, talk shit about the commission, but maybe some of, like, the rule sets that are put forward where, they make a lot of money off fighters failing drug tests. So that's a fine. If they miss, then it's a really big fine, like if they miss court. And then if you're a professional fighter and you're getting paid, say, $3,000 win, $3,000 show, $3,000 win, like $6,000. You fail for weed, they take your whole $6,000.
Oh my god, dude.
So pretty much at those commission meetings, they're just sitting around and going through these drug tests and just taking all their money. So I think that's why they don't get rid of it.
Yeah, there was a real serious dude at your last event he looked so serious. He looked like he was out of a fucking movie. This guy was just drug testing everybody before the fight and after the fight. And I was like, man, I don't want to talk to this guy. He's so serious. But I respected it, man. He was like about no bullshit. You know that guy?
Yeah, he was a state commission inspector.
Yeah, it was like the real deal. It was cool to watch, which was interesting because like a week after that event, and I was there, I was like doing interviews and stuff. Some people had saw it. There was like an underground fighting arena in Detroit. And they hit me up and I was like, what the fuck's happening right now? There's an underground fighting, like straight up fight club in Detroit, which I'm not going to give the name because we got to promote what you got going on. But it was insane to see how like there was no fucking like rules in that bitch. Like there's no fucking guy testing for drugs. There's no fucking like.
Oh, it's everywhere.
But so it like, shows it's here. Like it shows that people want to see fights here. And it just not happening at the level that makes people want to go buy a ticket for it. But that's why this event's cool because it's professional as fuck. You know that these are real ass fighters. The only thing about these real fighters, which is really confusing, is none of them had a record. That was the only thing. Like when I was interviewing them, none of them, all of them were like, "I'm 0-0. I'm 0-0," and I'm like, "That's impossible. What do you mean you're 0-0?" Like,
so when they're saying they're 0-0 is because they fight in those like underground shows because those don't count on your record because it's illegal to fight in them. You know,
I was wondering,
it's illegal to host them or anything. So that was the first show here. So if you didn't travel to Chicago to go fight, then you didn't fight. But a lot of those guys did fight. They just didn't fight in a sanctioned event, so their records were 0-0.
Okay, cool. So if it's an illegal fight, then they don't want to put it on their record.
They can't.
Yeah, they can't, right?
Yeah.
What was your favorite fight from the first Mitten Muay Thai event?
Probably Joey Colai versus Jacob. I think Joey probably showed the best Muay Thai there. So Michigan's kind of like more of a MMA kickboxing state. There's some massive differences in Muay Thai when it comes to elbows, knees, clinch work, and sweeps, and they're devastating. And I think Joey had the best display of that, really using his elbows and knees. I think he put on a show for Muay Thai. There was better. There was knockouts and better, more exciting things that happened, but I think he had the best display of Muay Thai that we don't see here in Michigan at all.
Wow. And these guys, like, I couldn't find any previous footage, like you said. I'm not sure, like, they probably don't document every real, like, fight they're in. So how much experience did he have before getting in the ring?
Joey was 4-1 with a couple, like, underground fights, too, as well.
Okay, cool.
So, or 3-1. He was 3-1. He's 4-1 now.
How, like, when it comes to you just being in the gym, working on your craft, and to actually getting into one of your fights, to be in the ring, is there any prerequisite besides you having trained as much as you trained? Like, is there a certain amount of fights that would be recommended before somebody hops in the ring to actually fight another person and almost, to the death almost type thing?
Yeah. There's a lot of things that come into play, which a lot of people get wrong. And this is why you end up seeing like huge mixed matches where you seen it at Mitten Muay Thai where both these guys were 0-0 and one guy just went in there and was on a whole nother level and just destroyed this other guy. And it comes down to a handful of things like training is number one, obviously, at mat time. Well, actually, I would say coach is number one. Like, having a good coach who really knows what he's talking about. There's just plenty of, fucked up coaches who, like, learn this shit in their garage, and then, they're good at convincing people to join them on this journey, and they're sending their fighters in there to get smoked.
It's crazy.
So bad coaches, number one. And, like, there's ways you can, like, look, if you're looking for a coach, like, look at how many fights he has or maybe how many fighters he's putting out that are doing well. If you go in and, your gym's losing at, like, a 60 percentile, you go in and, like, out of every 10 fights that your coach puts out, 60% of them lose. That's probably not the right place for you to be in. So bad coaches and then training time. As far as amount of fights go, that you should get matched at a 0-0, like going in. Like it's more about training time. Like you're not gonna have too many you shouldn't really have underground fights before going into a fight.
Really?
It should be your first fight.
Really?
Yeah.
What makes you think that?
Well, first off, like you're not supposed to be doing underground fights, so like I can't really say go do a bunch of underground fights. I mean, if you do, most people will get like I had one underground fight before I did a real fight. Most people will do like one smoker. That's what they're called, smokers.
Smoker, right?
Yeah, they'll do one smoker before doing the real one. I don't think that's necessary. Maybe you might want to start with kickboxing for hopping into Muay Thai because elbows and sweeps, these other variables make it a lot more difficult. But it's just about training time, coach, and listen to your coach. Whenever your coach says he's ready, you're ready, you should be ready, you know?
Yeah, man. I think one of the coaches that I ended up talking to was from Proving Grounds, and he had like a pretty long history, but I figured out a few of the fighters were from Proving Grounds, right?
8 of them, yeah.
8 of them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty nuts. I think my brother fights at Proving Grounds or some shit like that.
He does, yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of cats came from there, but also some came from out of the state, right? Mm-hmm. Some were from literally just flew over here to fight.
And most of the gyms in Michigan, all over Michigan, were included.
Oh, yeah. Is that happening with this fight here now that you've got the first one out the way? As far as the card is concerned, how did you determine who to pick up and who to get on this fight?
We were looking for experience, so like we tried matching the most high level fighters first, the guys with the most experience, from all over Michigan. I'm trying to say mostly in Michigan. The only thing is the pool of fighters is pretty low, so trying to get one high-level guy to fight another high-level guy in Michigan, really difficult. So if I get one high-level guy, I normally got to pull his opponent from out of state. And that's what we did. So we have some high-level guys fighting out-of-state guys. And, we were just trying to get as most experienced guys as possible on this card and keep them in Michigan, you know?
Can you talk about the main event, who you guys got, and also what their history is?
Yep, we have Carlos Cerda. My bad. He is fighting for a title. He just fought last weekend. He's now 11-6. He is a wild dude. Really, he really embraces like the Mexican fighting style, which is like it's a true style of like just forward pressure. They go for bangers. They will sit in front of you and trade till someone falls over. He's fighting for a 135-pound title against Jamal Long from Free Spirit Muay Thai. His opponent just recently changed. I don't have too much information on him. And then we have co-main event Reese Kelly again. He's fighting his toughest fight yet. He's fighting Austin Tweety. I believe Austin is 12-4, fought in the UFC. He's huge. This is going to be by far Reese's hardest fight. I don't think Reese has ever fought anyone on this caliber, so I am super excited for that fight.
Very cool. So, how many people from the last event were in the UFC? I think one guy said that he was in the UFC from the last.
I think just one guy, yeah.
Yeah, and so in this case, do you think that UFC element? I mean, obviously, it's a huge like the experience that they get from that. Let alone being able to handle the pressure from being around a crazy crowd and being on national TV and everything like that. But the experience as a fighter alone, does that change much? Does it change much that they were in the UFC versus the fact that they are their fighting, like whatever their fighting ability is their fighting ability? Or does TV change anything?
I'm sure it has to. I guess I've never really thought of that. I'm sure that extra pressure going out there has to build you into something different, and fighting those caliber of guys, fighting someone at a UFC level, you're thinking you could be walking in there with the best fighter in the world, and then you don't know who you're going to be going in there, and then from hopping out where you might not be, those guys haven't hit that level yet, but when you're fighting someone in the UFC, they hit that level.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of goes back to that conversation we had last time where we talked about how you're in your opinion, MMA, UFC doesn't have the best fighters in the world. It's the best showmanship. So it makes you wonder if you can take somebody from the UFC, bring them to your event, and it's like, okay, well, that doesn't make a difference that you were in the UFC. Even though that is like the highest tier as far as Americans and people are concerned, as far as it's the biggest fighting outlet for MMA, doesn't make a difference if they come and fight in your ring. Are they gonna? Is there a chance they're gonna lose fighting anybody on the card in your next event?
Oh, 100%. I think. Well, two things. UFC is MMA, so that's a whole world of a different sport. Muay Thai is just striking.
True. Yeah.
You know, so even Austin Tweety, he has next level toughness and really powerful hands. He is not much of a Muay Thai fighter, and Reese is just an all around really good striker. Austin's gonna have a weight advantage, a power advantage, but him stepping into just a striking ring is going to be a big difference for him. So we don't know how he's going to perform.
Right. It's similar to maybe like how a lot of MMA fighters tried outboxing a couple times. I think even Conor, like he did it too. Like Conor went from straight up MMA to boxing.
Yeah, he fought Mayweather.
Yeah, which was an interesting fight and everything like that. But it limits you, right? If you're not accustomed to it and if you're not proficient at it or training for it for years and years and years, then it makes you're more limited, right? Like you don't have as much experience. So are all the guys that are fighting, are they just pure Muay Thai, or like how does that work?
It's ideally in the future all the guys that are fighting would be pure Muay Thai, but the culture hasn't got there yet. So a lot of these guys are MMA fighters looking to get striking experience, so they're going in there, or they're kickboxers trying to step into Muay Thai. I would say actually the majority aren't just Muay Thai fighters, maybe half the card.
Right.
And then the only thing about that, so like at our last card, I believe besides Alex Barnes, every single pure Muay Thai fighter won. And I think that's what coaches are going to learn really quickly here with having a Muay Thai platform is doing your MMA striking might not translate. A lot of these guys, so if you go to, I started in MMA. So if you go to MMA gyms, a lot of guys kind of think their style of striking is the reason, like that's like the holy grail, this MMA style striking, even though they might have just not had the knowledge or not known about Muay Thai striking. So when they go in there in the Muay Thai ring, they're going to start getting smoked, to be honest, because it's just a world of a difference.
Yeah, I wonder what the adaptability is, straight up. Like, I do wonder if it's somebody who's just MMA, and then all of a sudden he's like, oh, I want to join this Muay Thai event, and like, how fast can he develop these fucking strikes and different approaches to offense? Like, that is the interesting thing, because MMA, the UFC is really making it MMA like the holy grail of fighting styles, right? And it's like so diverse. Like you can have so many different fighting styles in MMA. With Muay Thai, like you said, only the Muay Thai all the Muay Thai guys are winning these fights when they verse somebody who's not Muay Thai in a Muay Thai event. With the exception to like the last event with Alex Barnes.
Because they think it's the same thing. Because in MMA, you can throw kicks and punches and elbows and clinch. But with that extra wrestling variable, it changes the sport completely. And I think a lot of them don't understand that. I know they don't understand that because they wouldn't be putting their MMA fighters in a Muay Thai ring. Yeah. I mean, they literally went 1 for 16 last card.
But at the same time, you wouldn't be able to find enough Muay Thai fighters. So that's what that's the hard part, I guess, is what it's going to be, is finding Muay Thai dedicated fighters to fight at the event.
And we need that. We need the MMA guys to go in there. And, I mean, obviously I'm on the side of the Muay Thai guys, but I would love for them to try to prove me wrong, Go in there and beat the fuck out of a Muay Thai guy. But I just don't think it's going to happen.
Right on. So as your experience as your own Dana White kind of figure of these events, what was the expectation of the last event, and talk about what was delivered, and then also on top of that, what did you learn from the entire experience running your first Muay Thai event?
So, well, we were expecting about, maybe 700 people to show up, and we thought that would be like a really good turnout, and almost 2,000 people came. So it really shocked me. The first turnout was absolutely amazing. We did great. And then for future turnouts, you said?
What I'm saying is, I still want to stick on the first, the outcome of it, but also, what did you learn from that running your first event?
I mean, we learned a ton. I mean, we had no clue on how to put this thing on. I mean, Noah walked up to me. He's like, it's 7 o'clock. It's showtime. Like, let's get started. And I just remember my heart went in my stomach. I had no clue how to start this thing or where to go. So I think the process of running a show, getting everyone checked, like, let's say, like, getting all of our medicals in, getting all the judges and inspectors and referees, and getting the backstage coordinated so they're walking out, and the DJ playing music on time, the production. We learned at least our first go at that, and now we know at least how to improve that and go from there. But now there's going to be loads more hurdles. Like now we're hopping into live production. This is a whole new realm of things that we're going to be. So this show coming up, we're doing our live production, but we're not going to broadcast it because I'm honestly scared that it's going to come out like shit. So we're doing live production as a test. We're going to be recording it, seeing how it goes, making improvements. So then by our August show, we can actually put it out there and have
Cool.
it.
So it's all kind of like a test experiment as far as the production's concerned, which is dope. And now going into the new this next event, what are you planning to do differently than you did last time?
Well, first, I didn't like the lighting on our first event. As far as production goes and film work, it just wasn't enough, and the spread wasn't enough. So we have a big square truss system that's lighting the ring.
Sick.
We added like over 50 overhead lights, which last time we only had, I think, 12. So we're improving in that realm. We're going to be improving in all the camera operator work, getting a lot more of the backstage and the storyboard going on. We thought we had a lot. We actually didn't have enough. So we're pushing more on the production side of things. The overall, like, experience with, like, you know, we prepared for a 700-person show. So, you know, lines at bars and like the way we only had like 6 servers for drinks, so we upped the staff like crazy, and we're just gonna make all these improvements. We're doing like some more fun things too, like a raffle, and we'll have like a 360 booth and like a punch machine, like little fun things for people to do on the side when they're going out.
That's cool, man. Yeah, I dig it. I like the highlights. I like the if you go on Instagram, if you go to the Mitten Muay Thai Instagram, you can see the highlights of the fights and people getting knocked the fuck out of. That was fucking sweet. The thing that was hard for me, because I was doing interviews during that time, was interviewing people that lost. I didn't realize like I was careful when I did it, but at the same time I was like, man, this guy really just got fucked up, dude. Like, you can't just be walking up to this guy like, oh yeah, bro, how was the fight? This guy there was a couple guys like crying after. I was like, fuck. Like, I gotta send you some footage, man. There was people like, I felt bad for them. This one dude, I forget his name. I apologize for forgetting his name, but he was talking about how his trainer had died like the same week. And he was like crying during like the interview, and I was like, I was like, shit, man, I wasn't prepared for this. Like the whole time I'm fucking around, and then I was like, yeah, you gotta stop fucking around, because like these guys are really going to war. Like they're really fucking going to war. So my way of doing it was, in the beginning, it's like make it fun and lighthearted, but then afterward, it's like, oh shit, let's get serious here. You just fucking got your ass whooped, or you just kicked somebody's ass, so you're feeling great about yourself. You know what I mean? But the personalities were great too. Like everybody had such character to them. Nobody was boring. Everybody had like a lot of life in them. And I'm sure they were all excited too. It was like something new for them and convenient to like get to, and the access to it and everything like that. Talk about some more about this new event coming up, man, and talk about some of the fights that people can look forward to.
Yeah. Man, what?
No, he's on his phone.
Oh. There is so we have Cyderman fighting again. He landed
he murdered.
He murdered. He fucking, I don't want to say too much because James fighting on a new card, but he did land a nasty fucking knee knockout, and he's fighting Jared Calloway. Jared is far more experienced than Ty, but Ty has been training in Thailand for like 5 years. So he's really ahead of the curve. I'm super excited to see him fight again. Man, there's a bunch of cool
that Cyderman dude, he came out like he just flew in from fucking Asia, bro. Like he landed, whooped somebody's ass, and then flew out. Like that's what he looked like when I was talking to him. And then he told me he's like, yeah, I just listen to my coach. I don't even really like. He's like, when I get in the ring, I don't know what I'm doing. I just listen to what the fuck my coach does, and then that's it. I walk out. Like, how the fuck do you do that? Like,
we have 4 girl fighters this time.
Oh,
too.
sick.
So I'm excited to see some of those fights.
Yeah. Who's the women fighters?
So we got Mezzi Lee fighting Mai Seppo. She's from Finland. So she is just, I believe she's just visiting here, and she wanted to get a fight in. These are like two pretty experienced girls, you know. They're more like B class, 6-7 fights. And then we have Juliet Ramberg versus Haley. I forgot her last name, but they both have a few fights too. So it's all experienced girls going in there to fight.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good to see that women are really finding a new sport to get involved in and dominate in, right?
Yeah.
Like the UFC is really showcasing that people are actually like tuning into these like female fighter fights. WNBA has some work to do is all I gotta say.
Dude, the girl fighters in one championship are insane. Like I watch some of the girl fighters in UFC, and it's not as intimidating. But you watch these one championship girls, and they can knock your fucking head off. It's insane how hard they can hit.
Yeah. Are you paying attention to UFC even though you've got your own thing going on right now with all these events?
All the time. I actually just started reading this book called Kings of the Cage. It like breaks down UFC before their first event till they got to I think like $100 million company.
Wow.
Breaks down all the insides of their company and what happened, and I study them all the time. They're the best promotion in the world. So
what's some tidbits that you learned from reading these books?
Well, first off was just like I just got into it, but was like their marketing strategy, which we kind of want to put into. So when the UFC first started, it was like really about, it's changed where mixed martial arts is like its own thing now. But back then there was no mixed martial arts. So it was like, can a judo or can a jiu-jitsu guy be a boxer? Can a wrestler be a Muay Thai fighter? It was like these certain disciplines, and then they would fight each other. A sumo wrestler even.
Yeah.
Like they thought they had a shot. So, and that was what they base all their marketing off of. So I feel like we could take a play out of that book and kind of put how I'm talking about the certain styles not lasting, but a traditional Muay Thai guy versus a karate guy, or maybe a boxer puncher versus like a kickboxer Taekwondo style, you know? And we can kind of put those styles against each other and put that out of their playbook. But as far as UFC's production, we're already trying to implement some of this. So at the Masonic Temple, there's going to be really big screens around all of it. When you go to a UFC fight, so right before the fight goes on, the whole arena gets dark, and like a little interview and promo of that fighter comes onto the screen, and they kind of like get to know the fighter a little bit before they go and fight, or any drama or beef that was going on between these two guys. Maybe you didn't come there to watch them, didn't know anything about them, but during the show you're learning about it, and then they're putting on the fight. So we're going to start implementing these things into our whole production.
Yeah, these guys would obviously have to like promote, right? And actually start building their social media platforms so that way people give a fuck about who they are, you know what I'm saying? Right now, I think one of the things that's alluring is you get to watch an event nearby that you could just fucking see people go at each other, and that's like the biggest alluring aspect of it. But once these guys start like promoting themselves individually, then people are gonna really want to be interested. Because like Ryan Garcia, bro, I didn't give a fuck about this guy before I watched this boxing match. I don't give a fuck about Ryan Garcia. He seemed like a fucking weirdo to me when I was first watching him. But then when I seen him in the ring and shit, well, you know, catching myself watching the fight was crazy because I was like, I'll never watch this guy fight. But then look where I was at 11 o'clock. Yeah, he fucking promoted himself so crazy that I literally was like buying pay-per-view and watching the entire fight and rooting for him at the end. I'm like, I can't believe I went from like hating this guy to watching him in the ring to being like, I want this guy to fucking win.
Fighters need to understand that, man. I get these like professional fighters who'll DM me, and they have like 130 followers on Instagram. They're getting 6 likes, and they're like, I want 2,000 a show and 2,000 win. I'm like, you're gonna sell 6 tickets. Why the fuck would I pay you $4,000 to fight if you're not promoting yourself or doing anything to sell tickets? And the thing is, what the professional fighter needs to understand when he's doing that, you're putting yourself in a really bad spot, not only with me, but with any promoter. Because if you just use some common sense, why is that promoter going to match you? He's going to match you against his biggest ticket seller. If you get that check that you want the $4,000, he's going to put you in there to die with one of his good ticket sellers, and hopefully you don't fucking win, because no one wants to see their ticket seller lose. So if you're not promoting, you're a professional fighter. Professional fighting is about making money. You have to be on social media. You have to be making new relationships and trying to sell tickets.
Yeah, that's a good lesson for everybody to learn to get booked, because like you just said, if you're not fucking bringing in people, if you're not getting anybody's foot in the door, selling tickets, why the hell would we book you? I mean, the highlight reel would probably be sweet as fuck for sure. That's the only thing you could really say.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a part on your guys' end too, is to develop the guys who are willing to stick with you guys, the guys who want to invest in Muay Thai, the fighters, giving them this insight and actually like developing like, all right, we're going to get you some content made this week. I mean, you guys did do that though, right? You guys did
we're doing that every day.
Yeah, like literally creating content for the fucking fighters and shit like that. This is going to be crazy, bro. I mean, the development of it sounds like you studied the book, you're watching it, you're a fan of it. So by like fucking the 50th fight, it's gonna be probably like fucking worldwide or some shit like that.
Yeah, it's super fun business to be in because you can just like, it's unlimited in scale. And there's a million ways you can go about it, and you can be and it's all creativity and marketing, and it's a lot of fun, you know.
What did you think of the last boxing match though, man? The Garcia fight. Did you get a chance to check?
I didn't watch it.
What?
Yeah,
bro, it was crazy. Mike Tyson came in this guy's locker room. He was playing a violin.
I did see that. Like they're playing violin, and I seen the highlights.
You know what? I hated that guy so much, but I was like, bro, that's exactly what I would do if I fucking was famous right now. Like I would do everything he's doing is exactly what I would be doing. Like he brought kids into Foot Locker. He's like, everybody come in here. Everybody in the mall come in the Foot Locker. I'll buy you guys all clothes and shit. I was like, that's exactly what I would have done. I was just like trolling on Instagram the entire fucking time, bro.
He's trolling so hard where like you kind of feel like, is he like losing his mind around drugs? You know.
You wonder if it's all. Because like if you're gonna keep promoting after the fight's over, then it's like, oh wait, I think you are crazy. Because you're only supposed to do that before the fight, and then after you're supposed to disappear. But he's like posting like 16 times a day and shit.
But I don't know. That's what they need to do. Ryan Garcia got cut a check, and honestly, like Devin Hanley or whatever his name was, he didn't even deserve that shot. Like not that he didn't deserve the shot, but that fight. I don't know why anyone thought Ryan was gonna lose that fight. They were never on the same level.
It's plus 500 for Ryan. So if you bet 1,000, it's 5. Like
it was plus 500.
Plus 500. All my friends bet. I was like, I'm not gonna bet. He's gonna lose, and then this guy won, bro. Plus 500, straight up.
Dude, they just hate Ryan. That's why.
Well, I mean, come on, man. Plus 500. You have to just take that. Like anybody who was a gambler, you just had to put 100 on it or 1,000 on it. Like.
Dude, he only got beat by Tank. Tank's like the best in the fucking world, man.
But if you watch the fight, the guy falls like literally. I mean, if you watch the fight, like Ryan dropped the guy like 15 times. He just kept getting back fucking up. He only won by 2 points or some shit like that, which is crazy. What about the 300, the episode 300 of the UFC? Did you get to check that out?
Yeah, UFC 300 was fucking amazing, man. That was a great card.
What did you talk about your favorite elements of that?
I mean, first off, like that Max Holloway, Justin Gaethje knockout, that had to be the best knockout in history. For Max Holloway, he won every single round, and you know it's a common thing that like at the end of a fight they'll meet in the center and they'll swing and see if someone falls over type thing, but that's normally when it's a really close fight. Max didn't have to do that. He was like, he could have just kind of stayed defensive, ran away. He was like, fuck it, I'll give you a chance to win. Stood in the circle and knocked Justin Gaethje out with 1 second left to go. That was the most amazing knockout I ever seen, and I lost $1,000 in that fight.
Oh, jeez.
I didn't give a fuck though. I was like, that was the best knockout I ever seen.
So you were content with losing the 1,000 just because the fight was so good?
Yeah. And then Jamal Hill fought on that card. I actually made a content piece. He was the main event. I made a content piece that said Michigan. Why Michigan fighters can't strike. Jamal Hill actually commented on the post, and he's like the best striker in the world from Michigan, which he was talking about himself. And there was if you go to that post, there's
to run it over for people. What was it about?
So I was just basically talking about how there's no platform to compete in Michigan, you know, until us. So it would be like trying to be a high-level jiu-jitsu athlete or a high-level wrestler in MMA, but never wrestling, you know, never going and competing in wrestling. Your only experience was in MMA. So what ends up happening is we have no strikers. All of our guys in the UFC or any MMA organization, if they get successful, they're normally high-level grapplers at the highest level. And so when I made this post, you know, Jamal Hill was UFC champion. So a lot of people were hating, like, not hating, but, you know, debating, like, no, Jamal Hill's from here. He's one of the best strikers in the world. He got knocked out really quickly. I think that comment didn't age well for him.
Man, Jesus Christ. So you're like, you've had, I mean, even in our last talk, there was so much stuff we didn't post that would have went viral, but your knowledge of the sport people find truth to it, but also controversy to a lot of the stuff you say. Because even when we posted a couple things, people were like commenting saying like, that's not true, that's not true. Like, what makes there so much division in the thought process for what works in the UFC or what works in MMA or even works with Mitten Muay Thai? Like, why do if it's right in front of our face that certain people are getting knocked out or certain fighting styles are better off, then why is there so much like controversy? It's on camera, like you can see what works and what doesn't work.
I mean, because I think what you see, what works and doesn't work, is almost even that in itself is kind of surface level, where these sports are really, really deep science, and like where I might know a certain amount and there's a lifetime of me to know, and I think I probably know, more than 90% of the people, fans who watch it, So when people see it, they might just see a fight or something like that. But if you have more knowledge, you'll see more deep into it. And if you don't have that knowledge, then you're kind of ignorant to it. And then you might argue a point that you really just were unaware of it. Like how many people, maybe we'll make this clip, how many people thought that Jamal Hill just got caught? Because he didn't just get caught. He was set up. And people can't see that he was set up. Every time Pereira threw a jab to the body or feinted any type of punch, Jamal Hill would take his hand and reach away from his face and kind of spread back like this. Break posture. He would lose posture and his arms would come out like here. So all Pierre had to do was show the hand. He got that reaction out of him, caught him with the left hook, put him to sleep. This was like planned out, pre-planned, but people will say, Jamal Hill just got caught and that's why he got knocked out. He could beat him if he got another chance. No, he couldn't. Those are habits. Those are built into Jamal Hill. That wasn't like, a reaction he was trying to do. He wasn't trying to defend a price like this. This was a bad habit from bad coaching that no one has coached out of him. That's the truth.
Yeah, when we watch clips of MMA fights and you see how sometimes a knockout seems so seamless and everybody's like, that's a flop or, whatever they call it in fighting. Like, he dived, he took a dive.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it looks like that a lot of the times, but then there's always comments like, no, it's not a dive. You have to like really read what the situation. Do you ever see that where it looks like a dive, or do you see that the audience just doesn't know what's actually happening?
Both. I mean, sometimes there's definitely dives. Normally not at the highest level, like at UFCs and stuff like that. Normally at lower levels, guys are getting paid $600-$700. They're in there with a guy taking a lot of damage. They're like, all right, I got paid $700. I'm gonna go to the ground for this one, But when it's big money, big organizations, that normally doesn't happen. I mean, you see it all the time. Like Jake Paul's wins, like he gets clean KOs, and they're like.
Did you ever see that one of Paul when Mayweather is falling on him? Or sorry, he's falling on Mayweather, and Mayweather is holding him up. You ever see that clip? Bro, it's literally insane. It's like Mayweather literally knocks Logan, and then Logan like hugs him, and he's like falling, and then like Mayweather's like trying to keep him up. He's like trying his best to keep him alive. It was like crazy to watch, bro. I'm not gonna lie.
No way.
Yeah, I gotta show it to you. I'll probably post it. Yeah, there was just stuff I would see where I'm like, man, this doesn't look legit, bro. But
what do you think about Jake Paul versus who's that guy? Black UFC fighter.
Which one?
Fuck. He knocked him out with a straight right hand. I forgot his name. It was like two fights ago.
Yeah, I watched that fight too.
Everyone thought that was a dive.
The clips just look like he just boom and then it's over. It's like you don't see. It's almost like he just walks up and punches you and you're gone. It doesn't look like it was ever in a situation.
Well, that's another thing. Okay, so knocking someone out only takes 10 to 15 pounds of pressure in the right spot. People look at it like this guy got hit really hard or something like this and didn't fall over. Getting knocked out is all about getting touched on your chin. Rattles your brain hits your skull, and you go to sleep. Or sometimes you get knockouts from the temple or the back of your head because your skull is soft here, and it hit your brain like that. Other than that, the power isn't near as important as placement. Conor McGregor was really famous for this and knocked out a ton of people like it without putting a ton of power on his shots, just putting it right in the right place, putting someone to sleep,
Yeah.
And that shot that Jake Paul did, I wish I remembered his name, was right on the button, right on the chin, put him right to bed.
What do you think about if Conor reemerges? Do you think he's obviously going to sell out always, but like...
He fights June 29th.
Oh, he is fighting?
Yeah.
Wow. So obviously the last time he fought, he unfortunately his like leg fucking broke on him or something like that. and you can feel like a demoralization in fighters over time. Like I think Silva too. Like even when ever since that time where he was showboating and he got knocked out, like his game just changed. Like he just was never the same man. Do you feel like Conor is going to be able to be the same fighter he ever once was, or do you feel like times just go on and just
no? I don't think he ever could be. I mean, to be honest, he has the legacy. And he's just rich as fuck. Fighting is hard, like really hard. I would say that day that you're fighting in the ring is your easiest day of all your days. You know, like fighting leading up to the fight. You're fighting every single day in the gym, just training to complete exhaustion, and your body is just torn to pieces. You're bruised up and fucked up. When you're that rich and you have that type of legacy, why the fuck are you gonna keep putting yourself through it? And I don't think anyone has successfully did that. You know, once they hit this certain point, you start to see their career start to decline because they hit that point. It's hard for them to keep finding a reason to wake up every morning, getting the fuck beat out of them, and then do it again the next day.
With exception for like Mayweather, because of his fighting style, it's like less physically impactful, right, for him. So because of his fighting style, he has longevity and he was more relaxed. I mean, fucking
and his choice of opponents.
Right? and your ways of you guys calling it bins or something like that, or it's just like you're versing somebody who's not even the same caliber or level of you, which is very smart. I guess if you're that fucking high profile, then you could fight somebody with a less profile and people will watch regardless of what the fight is. Once you hear his name, it's like, I'm gonna watch it.
Yeah.
And the other guy could be some scrub. Like you don't like nobody I like how you brought that up. The average viewer doesn't really know what the fuck's going on when they watch a boxing match. We're just watching it like,
oh, boxing is far deeper than even Muay Thai or MMA. I mean, that's why it's kind of hard for casuals to, I think, even get into the sport of boxing. The setups are over such, they're set in patterns for round after round. That's why boxings have to be 12-round fights, because it's such a technical sport. Right. And they're reading an opening and they're setting a trap from a reaction that caused a reaction from another reaction. Like, it's so deep, and there's probably like, I seen this video that my coach told me about. I think it was from Emmanuel Stewart. That when you're watching like a Mayweather Manny Pacquiao fight, there's probably 5 people in the entire world that really know what's going on.
5 people.
You're in a whole world.
Yeah, and all of us are just thinking we know what the hell's happening.
Yeah, and you might know a little bit here, but to really get to the whole understanding of the match that they're playing with each other.
Well, dude, insane. Vegas was killing it before the internet came out, because like when you used to bet on a team, it'd be like, oh yeah, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's playing Lakers, and you just put all your money on that team just because you know the name of the team and you know the name of the player. But then once the internet started giving you, like, handicappers started coming out and they had like all these analysis posts that you could read through, then Vegas got a little bit smarter. Like, all right, these guys know a little bit more information. But still to this day, if LeBron James is on the court, 95% of people are going to bet on LeBron James. And then 5% of the people who actually know what's going on are going to bet on whoever's actually going to win that night, or who they think is going to win based off statistics and what's actually happening in the game. So it's all like we're all just casual fucking viewers pretending we know what the fuck's going on.
Yeah, it's that's always how it is. When you're like trying to watch a fight with a group of casuals, it becomes it's difficult.
What do you think about Mike Tyson fighting the Paul?
I think it's stupid. Like for Mike Tyson, I think Mike Tyson's rich as fuck. You know, like, you're rich and famous, and that's so dangerous. You're 60 years old and you've already took loads of damage. Who knows what type of CT or stuff's going on in your brain, you know, from fighting all those years. And to be 60 years old fighting someone with the power that Jake Paul has, I think like Mike Tyson could get severely hurt. I don't think that's smart. As far as the matchup, I don't think it's a terrible matchup. Mike Tyson has way more ring experience than Jake Paul. He's going to know what to do when times get hard. I definitely think fucking Mike Tyson could beat him. Power is something that doesn't really fade over time, because power is something developed with 2 things. Mechanics. So a mechanic is how you throw a punch, how your body works together to throw that punch, and then genetics. His speed, he'll probably be much slower than Jake, but he'll have ring experience and power on him, and I do think he can beat Jake Paul. I don't think it's the right move to be going out there and risking, you know, brain damage forever, dying, you know, at 60 years old.
Yeah, I mean, part of it, when you look at the stipulations of, or like the terms of the fight, it seems almost like it's a play fight, because there's no knockouts or something like that.
Oh, I didn't look at it.
Yeah, something like that. There's like no knockouts allowed or anything like that. So there's a lot of ways where you're seeing that they're softening it up because they don't want.
Okay.
I think they don't want him to get hurt, which is pissing a lot of people off. Like these exhibition matches piss people off, but at the same time, it's like you just said. I mean, if Paul really goes at it, who knows? Like, you could kill the guy, and that would be the worst.
Yeah, imagine Jake fucking Paul kills Mike Tyson. That's the worst way to end your legacy.
Yeah, that would be horrific.
Oh my god.
There was like some guy who went on YouTube. I loved him. He's like a really popular fighter. He's like Jake, you're a fucking despicable human being for taking this fucking fight. It was like, what the fuck? What is it coming to? Like, what are we doing out here? Like, there's so many guys you could fight that are on your level, same age, anything like that, and you're going after fucking the greatest. He's like, I would kill myself if I knew I took out Mike Tyson. He was like, I'd never be able to sleep at night. No,
yeah, that's not gonna make you feel good.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? What's the greatest fight you've ever experienced or watched?
The greatest fight I ever watched. Oh my god, I watch fights every weekend, so that is a hard fucking question. Probably one of the most euphoric fights was when Conor McGregor fought Nate Diaz for the second time and won. It was just a bloodbath, and to see Conor win when no one thought he could, that was a really cool moment. But I've had tons of those moments. I mean, even this year, that Max Holloway Justin Gaethje fight, I haven't felt like that in years. It was magical.
Man, you do wonder how the promoters really figure it out, man. They just put together these two people, and then a magical moment can fucking happen. Somebody's getting their ass whooped live on TV and shit.
Dana White's a fucking genius.
Yeah, man. He's like the coolest fucking. I love how he just doesn't give a fuck and he protects his fighters. You're not gonna bring up controversy about his fighters. You're not gonna bring up shit. Like, he's just like, it's all on 10 toes. He
I
saved
love how
Joe Rogan's career at one point. I think when Joe Rogan was going through his hardships, Dana White's like, I don't give a fuck, dude. He's with me. Like, he's like, I'm not gonna let you guys like, fucking talk bad about him or push him off my shit.
I love how he runs his company. It's just like, I'm just myself, and there's nothing, no one's going to tell me what to do. And honestly, it's super inspiring, because if there wasn't someone like that, and getting into a position where we're getting into with promoting, I would probably be a lot more hesitant. I would try to follow the footsteps of someone else, like kind of worried about what I say and do. And when I see Dana White can do it at the highest level, then I'm just going to say whatever I want and do whatever I do,
Yeah, the politics, he doesn't fucking care about politics. He's just like, what's happening? Let's get to these fights. Is there anything you want to talk about before we chime out, bro?
No, I think we covered it. We got the studio, May 3rd. Awesome.
May 3rd's the fight. Do you want to mention the casino one, or is that still too further ahead? Just for audience, what fight do you want to see with people regarding the Mitten Muay Thai? We got this May 3rd fight, but if you could get two people in your ring, who would you love to see fight?
Oh, I would love to, like, anyone?
Yeah.
Oh, I'd love to put, like, Luke Lassie against, like, a really high-level UFC striker. So, Luke Lassie, I can't announce. We have some things working with him. He's right now the #1 American striker in Muay Thai. He fights in one championship. He just beat Eddie Ebb solo. We have some things working with him, and I would love to put him in the ring against a super high level like Leon Edwards or someone top tier striker from the UFC, and watch Luke Lassie just run the fuck through him.
So cool, man. Good having you a part of this, man. Like I said, the last event was incredible. The turnout was incredible. I literally thought I was gonna pull up and it was gonna be me and Nick and like the bartender and shit, but everything went phenomenally, man. The ring girls were incredible, man. That was the best part for me. But the fights, man, like, no, all joking aside, the fights were fucking brutal. They were scary. I wish I stood 10 feet further back just so I wasn't scared and more entertained, because I was actually fucking frightened. I was like, these guys are really trying to hurt each other. Like, I've never seen that in my life. Like, I've never seen, like, I guess I've just never been to a fight before, but to be that close and people really wanting it all was something I've never experienced. Everybody's got to go see a fight once in their life to see that these two guys are in there and just having no regard for their physical body. Like, they're just in there trying to take each other out. If you don't experience that once in your life, it's almost like you never went on a roller coaster. So imagine telling somebody you've never been on a roller coaster. You have to try it once. Like, a fight is something you have to see in person at least one time. So I look forward to the next one. Me and Nick will probably pull up and film some stuff and do what we did last time. May 3rd, we'll check you guys out. Imperial House.
Yep.
We're at Parallel Sound Studio. Come book your time here. They got the studio officially opened. We're out. Peace.